Okay, so today we are going to start with we have two things which we can study. First is vectors and second is integration and differentiation. So let us start with vectors. Vectors. So on the basis of direction, physical quantities are of two types. On the basis of direction, physical quantities are of two types. Number one, scalar. Number two, vector. Okay. What are scalar quantities? Number one, scalar. So scalar quantities are those quantities which can be completely expressed. These are the quantities. These are the physical quantities which can be fully expressed by their magnitude and unit only. And unit only. For example, suppose if somebody asks you how much is your weight, and if you are saying 60 kg, okay, so 60 kg is enough to tell, okay, how much is the mass of the person. So 60 is magnitude and kg is unit. If you are saying only 60, then you don't get to know whether it is 60 grams or 60 kilograms or 60 tons or 60 quintals. We don't know. So we need to mention unit also. And if you are using only unit kg, how much is your mass? Sir, kg. Then also your answer is incorrect. Why? Because only kg is not telling that how much is the value. Right? So both things are required. Magnitude also is required as well as unit is also required. So these such quantities are called scalar quantities. All seven fundamental physical quantities are scalar. All seven fundamental physical quantities are scalar. Okay. So mass, length, time, temperature, current, amount of substance, luminous intensity. All of these are scalar. Okay. Now we are moving towards vector quantities. So these are the physical quantities which require direction along with unit and magnitude to be completely expressed. Okay. These are the physical quantities. These are the physical quantities which require these are the physical quantities which require direction direction along with unit and magnitude. Unit and magnitude. So these are the physical quantities which require direction along with unit and magnitude. So basically, not just unit and magnitude is sufficient, direction is also necessary for these quantities to be completely expressed. For these quantities to be completely expressed. For example, suppose there is a friend of yours who has gone 50 meters away, okay, and you are trying to find the person, correct, or catch the person. So if you know that the person has gone 50 meters away, just by knowing this, it will be quite difficult for you to find out where the person actually is. But if you get to know that 50 meters towards north, then you can easily and quickly find the person, right? So that direction adds more accuracy in our measurement and more surety about the actual location of the person. Okay, let us take another example. Suppose Indian army is now in Ladakh as well as in J&K. Okay, so while they are in Ladakh, they have fired one missile mentioning 500 kilometers. Okay, so in that code of missile they mentioned distance, कितना distance होना चाहिए, it should be 500 kilometers, and they put 500 kilometers and press the button. They wanted to hit China, but that missile went and hit Pakistan. Why? Because they did not mention the direction, they simply mentioned 500 kilometers. So missile, it was not knowing where to go exactly, it went and hit Pakistan. So that became collateral damage. We didn't want to hit that poor country, but that happened. Understood? So it happened due to lack of understanding of vectors. So what we did, we took 500, that means magnitude. We also talked kilometers, but we did not talk about direction, in which direction it should move. Okay, so we treated it as scalar, but what we were supposed to do, we were supposed to use it as vectors, and because of that all problem happened. Okay, so that's why it is very important to be very particular about vector quantities. All right, so what are vector quantities? These are the physical quantities which require direction along with unit and magnitude to be completely expressed, to be completely expressed. Okay, for example, what are the examples of vector quantities? Displacement is vector, velocity is vector, acceleration, momentum, force, etc. There are so many physical quantities which are vector. There are so many physical quantities which are vector. All right, now comes the next thing, how to identify that any physical quantity is vector or not. So please write representation of a vector. Representation of a vector. Okay, so how do we represent a vector? There are different ways of representing a vector. First is symbolic representation. Symbolic representation. So when we are talking about symbolic representation, what does it mean? That if we are using a symbol to represent it, then how it would be. So symbolically a vector is represented by an arrow above the physical quantity. An arrow above the physical quantity. For example, suppose if we are talking about force, so it will be F vector. If we are talking about momentum, it will be P vector. If we are talking about displacement, it will be R vector, and so on. So that arrow is telling us that this quantity is a vector quantity. Simple. Whenever you see an arrow above a symbol, you understand that this is representing a vector quantity. This is representing a vector quantity. So this is symbolic representation. Just by seeing the symbol, you can find out that the physical quantity is vector. Okay. Now comes the next representation, which is geometrical representation. Geometrical representation. Okay. So suppose you want to represent a quantity by a vector, and this is O, this is A. So geometrically a vector is represented by an arrow. Geometrically a vector is represented by an arrow. Okay. Geometrically a vector is represented by an arrow. Size of vector will be called its magnitude. Size of vector will be called its magnitude and direction and direction of vector will be from initial point to final point. Okay. So basically in this example, which you can see, your vector will be OA vector and it will be from O to A. O to A. Okay. Which is geometrically, its length will be its size and its direction will be from initial point to final point. Okay. Be very clear about it. Direction of any vector is from initial point to final point. Okay. Now initial point is also called origin and final point is also called terminus. Okay. Okay. And initial point is also called tail and final point is also called head. So direction of a vector is always from origin to terminus and tail to head. Tail to head. Okay. Keep that thing in mind. Now suppose you want to represent a vector which is the distance of Margao from Panjim. Okay. Now I am approximately taking it as 35 kilometers. So if you want to represent it by a vector, do you need to draw a vector of length 35 kilometer? No. What you can do? You can draw a line of, let's say, 7 centimeter. Okay. And you can mention 1 centimeter is equal to 5 kilometers. It will start from for Marga and at Panjim. Okay. So direction will be MP. So our vector will be MP vector. So MP vector is our distance from Margao to Panjim. It will be Margao to Panjim vector. All right. So that will be MP vector. So this is the way to represent a vector like this. Okay. Any doubt? Any question? Good. Now, what is magnitude of a vector? Magnitude of a vector. Magnitude of a vector. So if you remove direction from a vector, the thing which is left is called its magnitude. Okay, so if we remove direction from a vector, we remove direction from a vector, then the thing which is left is called magnitude of vector. Okay, so suppose if r vector is a vector, if r vector is a vector, then its magnitude will be represented as either by only r or r vector with modulus. Okay, so these are the ways to represent magnitude of a vector. Magnitude of a vector is pure number. Magnitude of a vector is pure number. Magnitude of a vector pure number, and it cannot be negative. It cannot be negative. Okay, so magnitude of a vector can never be negative. It will be either 0 or positive. Okay, it cannot be negative. So what you can write is, suppose r is some vector, then its magnitude will be either greater than 0 or equal to 0. Okay, like this. All right, now comes unit vector. Unit vector. Okay, so what is a unit vector? A vector of magnitude unity. A vector of magnitude is called unit vector. A vector of magnitude unity is called unit vector. Okay, now what does it mean? That means if you find its magnitude, if any unit vector is given, and if you find its magnitude, it will be 1. All right, now how do we get a unit vector? If a vector is divided by if a vector is divided by its magnitude. If a vector is divided by its magnitude, we get unit vector. We get unit vector along that vector. Okay, along that vector. So basically, r cap is equal to r vector upon r. R r cap is equal to r vector upon r. Okay, all right. Hmm. So basically, a unit vector is represented by a cap above it. A unit vector is represented by a cap, this kind of symbol above it. So whenever you see anything wearing a cap, then you can be assured that it is a unit vector. It is a unit vector. What will be the magnitude of unit vector? It will be 1 only. It will be 1. All right. So what I can write, everyone please pay attention. Magnitude of r cap will be 1. Magnitude of r cap will be 1. All right. That is the significance of unit vector. So that is, it is of magnitude 1. All right. Good. Let us move further. Angle between two vectors. Angle between two vectors. Angle between two vectors. So suppose we have a vector like this and we have b vector like this. Okay, and we want to know that how much is the angle between these two, or what is the angle between these two. Okay, so how to calculate that? So angle between two vectors, angle between two vectors is the smaller angle, is the smaller angle between them, when both are connected by, their tails. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to first connect them by their tails, and then only we can talk about angle between them. Okay, so in this example what I am doing, I am shifting b vector, or I can shift a vector also, and I am drawing a vector like this. So now what is happening, tail of both a and b is connected here, and as this is happening, now I can say that this is the angle between a vector and b vector. Okay, so from here, one more important thing which we understood, that if a vector is shifted, if a vector is shifted if a vector is shifted, just a second. If star point, if a vector is shifted in space, without changing its direction, without changing its direction, vector remains unchanged. Vector remains unchanged. Okay. So if a vector is shifted in space without changing in its direction, then the vector remains unchanged. That means it is exactly the same way. Suppose you are standing at one place. If someone comes and shifts you by some distance at some place, then also your height will remain same. It will not be changed just by shifting you in space. So same way, if a vector was initially like this, now after shifting it became like this. So direction of a vector is same in both the cases. Size of a vector is same in both the cases. That means a vector is remaining the same. All right. So if you shift a vector in space, it remains the same. Okay. Now comes next point. If direction, comma magnitude, if direction, comma magnitude, or both of a vector is are changed, then vector gets changed. Vector gets changed. Okay. So if for any vector, if direction or magnitude or both are changed, then the vector will be changed. Then the vector will be changed. All right. Okay. Now let me give you a question. Question. This is a vector. This angle is 45 degree. This is B vector. This angle is 30 degree. And this is C vector. This angle is excuse me, 60 degree. Question is find angle between number 1 A vector and B vector. Number 2 A vector and C vector. Number 3 B vector and C vector. Please quickly give the answers. Quickly. All of you should give the answer. All of you. Okay. Okay. All right. So in A and B, answer will be 15 degree. Why? Because if you shift A to B's place, then the angle which remains between A and B is 15 degree. If you see A and C, it will be 45 plus 60. Let me write one more step in this. It will be 45 minus 30, and that's why it is 15. Between A and C, it will be 45 plus 60, and it will be 105. Between B and C will be 30 plus 60, and it will be 90. And it will be 90. All right. All right. So A and B is 15, A and C is 105, and B and C is 90. Okay. Good. So this is how we find angle between the two vectors. Now, a resolution of a vector. Uh, of a vector. A resolution of a vector. This is a very important concept. Why it is a very important concept? Because this facility is available only for vectors. This property or this facility is available only for vectors. Okay, that's why it is very important for vectors. So what is resolution of a vector? Breaking of a vector into two components. Breaking of a vector into two. I'm writing the word mutually perpendicular, but actually it is not necessary. Okay, you can resolve a vector in any direction. Okay, but I am writing here in as two mutually perpendicular components. Why? Because in 99% of our questions, we are going to resolve a vector into two mutually perpendicular components. So whatever is useful for us, we are going to talk about that. So breaking of a vector into two mutually perpendicular perpendicular components is called resolution of a vector. Resolution of a vector. So breaking of a vector into two mutually perpendicular components is called resolution of a vector. This property is exclusive for the vectors. This property is exclusive for the vectors. This property is exclusive for the vectors. You cannot apply resolution for scalar quantities. No. All right. Now, what exactly is resolution? Try to understand. So, suppose we have this vector. Let's call it R vector. Okay. And what we are trying to do, we are trying to break this into this direction, and we are trying to break this into this direction. All right. So when we are trying to break this into these two directions, then whatever we are getting after breaking, that will be called resolved components. That will be called resolved components. So suppose if this angle is theta, if this angle is theta, then this will be r cos theta, and this will be r sine theta. So as thumb rule, what you can remember is component along with theta is always cos component. Component along theta, component along theta is always cos component. Okay. Component away from theta, component away from theta is always sine component. Okay. You can use this as a thumb rule directly to solve questions. Directly you can use this as a thumb rule. Now you might think in your mind that, sir, how we are getting these as cos and sine. Okay. So let us get back to trigonometry. Let us get back to trigonometry. We have already talked in trigonometry that if there is a right angle triangle and if this angle is theta, then this will be perpendicular, this will be base, and the third one is hypotenuse. All right. Now, from this example, let me call this as O, this as P, and this as R, OPR. So from data OPR, all right, sine theta is equal to P by H. Sine theta is equal to P by H. So P is equal to H sine theta. All right. P is equal to H sine theta. Similarly, cos theta will be B by H. Cos theta will be B by H. So B comes out to be H cos theta. Now try to understand and compare this with the diagram which we did earlier. If I see this, so how much is this? By using r cos theta thing, this will be h cos theta and this will be h sin theta. Is it coming out to be same? Yes, exactly same. In place of h, we had r there. We had r in the previous thing. So you must have realized that from here we can get these magnitudes. From here we can get these magnitudes. Okay. All right. Any doubt, any question? Any doubt, any question? Good. Good. All right. Can we move further? This resolution part you will be using n number of times in physics. So many times you will be using resolution. And the thumb rule is very simple. Along theta cos, away from theta sine. Baat khatam. All right. Let's go further. Now comes orthogonal representation of vectors. Orthogonal representation of vectors. Orthogonal representation of vectors. So what is orthogonal representation of a vector? So suppose we have this x-axis, we have this y-axis, and we can have z-axis also, which we are not drawing right. And this is some vector r. Okay. So this point is O, this point is P, there will be some angle theta. Now this R vector which has magnitude capital R and sub point is M, this point will be N. So OM will be R cos theta. OM will be R cos theta and ON will be R sin theta. Correct? Now let us talk further. So if we represent our vector R vector, if we represent our vector which was R vector as its components along x-axis and y-axis, then such representation is called orthogonal representation. Okay. So if a vector is represented as if a vector is represented as its component along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, then such representation then such representation of vectors then such representation of vectors is called orthogonal representation. Orthogonal representation. Okay. So if a vector is represented as its component along x-axis, y-axis and z-axis, then such representation of vector is called orthogonal representation. Alright. Now for the time being, I am considering r cos theta as x. Similarly, r sin theta can be considered as y and some component along z-axis can be treated as z. So in orthogonal form, r vector is equal to, listen carefully, x I cap plus y j cap plus z k cap. So r vector is equal to x I cap plus y j cap plus z k. Now what is I cap, j cap and k cap? Here I cap is unit vector along I cap is unit vector along x-axis. Okay. J cap is unit vector along y-axis and k cap is unit vector along z-axis. So be very clear that while we were deciding or scientist people were deciding, they have already fixed it. Wherever you see I cap, it will be a unit vector along x-axis. Wherever you see j cap, that will be a unit vector along y-axis, and whenever you see k cap, it is a unit vector along z-axis. Okay, we cannot discuss, debate, argue about this. That has already been decided. This has already been decided that I cap is along x-axis, j cap is along y-axis, and k cap is along z-axis. Okay, very nice. Now, when we are representing a vector in orthogonal form like xi cap, yj cap plus zk cap, what will be the magnitude? So magnitude of orthogonal vector, magnitude of orthogonal vector. So obviously if r vector is the vector, then magnitude will be r, which is without vector sign, and that is equal to x square plus y square plus z square. So this will be the magnitude. This will be the magnitude. Okay. So magnitude of orthogonal vector is given as r is equal to under the root of x square plus y square plus z square. R is equal to under the root of x square plus y square plus z square. Any doubt, any question, anyone? Good. Now let me give you a question. Let me give you a question. If a vector is given as r vector is equal to 6 I cap plus 8 j cap plus 10 k cap, find number 1 magnitude of vector r, number 2 unit vector along r vector, number 3 a vector of magnitude, a vector of magnitude 10 along r vector. Please solve this, everyone. Please solve. Okay, everyone, please pay attention. So magnitude of r vector will be r, and that will be under the root of x square means 6 square plus 8 square plus 10 square. So that becomes root of 200, and that can be written as 10 root 2. That can be written as 10 root 2. Okay. So this will be the magnitude of r vector. This will be the magnitude of r vector. All right. Now comes the question of unit vector along r. So unit vector along r vector, we will be calling it r cap. R cap will be nothing but r vector upon magnitude of r. R vector is already given 6 I cap plus 8 j cap plus 10 k cap, and magnitude of r is 10 root 2. So this is your unit vector. This is your unit vector. All right. Now comes the third question, and that is a vector of magnitude 10, a vector of magnitude 10 along r vector. Now what does it mean? Pay attention everyone. Suppose if we call that vector as p, magnitude should be 10 along r cap. So that will be 10 r cap. That will be 10 r cap. So 10 is 10 and r cap is 6 I cap plus 8 j cap plus 10 k cap upon 10 root 2. Okay. And this way 10 will get cancelled. So P comes out to be 6I plus 8j plus 10k upon root 2. Okay. So this will be the vector of magnitude 10 along r vector. Okay. Any doubt, any question? Any doubt, any question? Good. Good. Next question. If r vector is equal to half I cap plus xj cap plus half represents a unit vector, find value of x. Find value of x. Please find. Do you want me to give options? Let me give options. A option 1 by 2. B option minus C by 2. C option. D option. How do I know? Okay. D option is how do I know? Now tell me the answer as per options. As per options. Just a second, just a second, just a second. This is not 1 by 2, this is 1 by root. 1 by root. Now it's fine. Give answer. Okay, everyone, please pay attention. So as it is given that R is a unit vector, so magnitude of R should be 1. That means under square plus x square plus half square should be equal to 1, and that gives us, let us square both sides, that gives us 1 by 4 plus x square plus 1 by 4 is equal to 1, and that gives us x square is equal to half, and that gives us x is equal to plus minus 1 by root 2. Answer will be C. Answer will be C. Understood? Understood? Question? Okay. Okay. Now you should be alert while you are writing the paper that examiner can, trick you. The question was really very easy. Okay. And even with that, you can be made to make mistakes. All right. So we should remain alert in exam. All right. Question. Hmm. Let us talk about addition of vectors first. So addition of vectors. Okay. Again, here you should be very clear that addition, subtraction, multiplication of vectors are not done as per normal algebra. It is done as per vector algebra. Okay, as per vector algebra. So addition of vectors, vector is done as per vector algebra, and there are specific rules for. So we are going to talk about triangle law of vector addition. Triangle law of vector addition. There are two prominent laws. One is triangle law, second one is called parallelogram law. Both are fine. Okay. So what is triangle law of vector addition? So this law says, please pay attention. Suppose there are two vectors. One is A vector and one is B vector. So if A vector and B vector are two vectors such that tail of second vector starts from head of first vector, then their resultant means sum will be from tail of first vector to head of, okay. So this is your R vector. This is your R vector. So let us talk about these one by one. So first of all, let us write the triangle law of vector addition in definition. Vectors are such that if two vectors are such that tail of second vector, here second vector is B, starts from head of first vector, here first vector is A vector, then their resultant, then their resultant, what do you mean resultant? Sum. And what do you mean, what is representing sum here? R vector. Then the resultant will be from tail of vector, tail of first vector to head of second vector. All right. Please note this. Please note this. Please note this. Okay. Okay. Now, let us see how it is to be found. So what we can write here is R vector resultant basically, and it is equal to A vector B vector. Okay. So as per rule, as per triangle law of vector addition, R vector is equal to A vector plus B vector. But the problem with this formula is it doesn't tell you that if suppose A is 3, B is 4, then how much will be R. It only tells you that R vector is equal to 3 vector plus 4 vector. How much is the value of R? That means length of R, or you can say magnitude of R, is not known by this simple formula, which is R vector is equal to A vector plus B vector. So our quest is to find the value of magnitude of R. We are trying to find magnitude of R, and we will do that. So let us find that magnitude of R. For that, everyone please pay attention. What I am doing, I am producing this further, and I am taking this angle as theta. Okay. So if B is magnitude of B vector, then this distance will be B cos theta, and this distance will be B sin theta, just by our resolving principle. Okay. I am calling this point as M, N, and this is P. So if we apply Listen carefully. By Pythagoras theorem. By Pythagoras theorem for triangle ONP, for delta ONP. So what we can write is OP square is equal to ON square plus NP square. You can check yourself. OP square is equal to ON square plus NP square. Now what is OP? OP is nothing but magnitude of R vector, and that will be R. Actually we need to find this value of R. Now ON is nothing but OM plus MN plus NP square. So now let us put value. OM is basically side of A vector. So it is basically magnitude of A vector. So that will be A. Now Mn is how much? It is B cos theta. So A plus B cos theta whole square plus NP is B sin theta whole square, and that is equal to R square. Now A plus B cos theta whole square can be written as A square plus B square cos square theta plus 2AB cos theta plus B square sin square theta. Now if I take B square common from B square cos square theta and B square sin square theta. So it will be B square common cos square theta plus sin theta, and that will be 1. So what we are going to get, let's look at one more step. A square plus 2AB cos theta square cos square theta plus sin square theta. So that gives us R is equal to under the root of A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. So this equation gives us the magnitude of sum of two vectors. Let me call this as equation 1. So equation 1 gives magnitude of sum of two vectors. Which were those two vectors? A vector and B vector. Please note quickly. Noted, everyone? Noted? Good. Now comes special cases. Special cases. Special cases. And what is that? Number 1, when theta is equal to 0 degree. So cos theta will be cos 0 and that will be 1. So R will be under the root of a square plus b square plus that will be under the root of a plus b whole square, and that gives us r is equal to a plus b, and that is actually maximum. Okay, so the point which is to be noted is sum of two vectors will be maximum, or you can say magnitude of sum of two vectors will be maximum if the vectors are parallel. Magnitude of sum of two vectors will be maximum if vectors are parallel and parallel in same direction. All right. So basically try to understand, you are trying to push a car by some force. Your another friend came and he started pushing the car along with you in the same direction. So now your efforts will be giving extra, or you can say more result or best result. Why? Because both of you are exerting force in same direction. So force will get added. Force will get added. All right. Just to give you example. Now special case 2, when theta is equal to 180 degree. So when theta will be 180, cos theta will under the root of plus b square. Can you hear me? R will be under root of a square plus b square minus 2ab. So that can be written as R is equal to under the root of a minus b whole square. R will be mod of a minus b, and that will be actually minimum, R min. So magnitude of difference of two vectors will be, or you can say magnitude of sum. Please write magnitude of sum of two vectors will be minimum. Magnitude of sum of two vectors will be minimum if vectors are anti-parallel. Anti-parallel or opposite. Okay, understood? So if vectors are opposite, then the sum will be minimum and output will be minimum. So in the same example, while you were pushing the car with some force, your friend came and he is a very good friend of yours. He started pushing the car in opposite direction. Then your efforts will be giving least result because he is your very good friend, right? So when forces are in opposite direction, the resultant of sum will be minimum. Resultant of sum will be minimum. Okay. All right. So these are the two special cases. I hope you all have noted. Let me give you a question. Question. Two vectors, A vector and B vector, have magnitude 8 unit and 6 unit respectively. Respectively. Find magnitude of their sum if angle between them is number 1 0 degree, number 2 37 degree, number 3 60 degree, number 4 90 degree, number 5 180 degree. Okay, please find. Please find. Samarth, from where are you getting root of 2804 by 5? Okay, everyone, please pay attention. Enough time given. So in first part, where theta is 0 degree, r will be under the root of 8 square plus 6 square plus 2 into 8 into 6, and that comes out to be root of 196, and that comes out to be 14 units. I could have simply added 8 plus 6 to give you answer as 14. That also would have been correct. All right. Now comes next part. When angle is 37 degree. So R will be plus 6 square plus 2 into 8 into 6 into cos 37 is 4 by 5. All right. And people are saying that this becomes lengthy calculation. What can we do? So this becomes 100, 8 square plus 6 square plus 8 into 6 is 48, into 2 is 96, 96 into 4 is 392, right? Divided by 5. So that comes out to be 892 by 5. No, this will be not 92. It will be 86, 386. How much is that? 96 into 4 by 5. So that will be 384 by 5. So when you add that, that will be root of 500 by 5. This is the answer of second part. Third part. When theta is equal to 60 degrees, so r is equal to under the root of 8 square plus 6 square plus 2 into 8 into 6 into cos 60. Cos 60 is half. That becomes root of 148 units. All right. Let's move further. Next is theta is equal to 90 degree. R will be under the root of 8 square plus 6 square plus 2 into 8 into 6 into 0. So basically that comes out to units. All right. And in last part, R will be under the root of 8 square plus 6 square minus 2 into 8 into 6, and that will be root 4. That will be 2 unit. That will be 2 units. Everyone please check whether all the answers are solved correctly or not. Please check. Okay. Any doubt, any question in this, anyone? Any doubt, any question? Okay. Okay. All right. Just a quick question. Find their resultant. Find their resultant. Quickly give me the answer. Two persons are giving two answers. One is saying root 204. One is saying root 244. Some are getting 224 also. Very nice. India is a diverse country. Alright, so please pay attention. R will be under the root of 10 square plus 8 square plus 2 into 10 into 8 into cos 60. Cos 60 is 1 by 2. It becomes root of 100 plus 64 plus 80. Correct? So 100 plus 80 becomes 180. 180 plus 60 becomes 240 plus 4 will be root of 244. R is equal to this. Okay. So that's how we should. Any doubt, any question, anyone? So we'll be solving and studying further mathematical tools and vectors in the next class. And most likely in the next class, we'll finish this. Okay. That is enough for today. See you in the next class.